Welcome to the Grateful Tap podcast, where we are exploring healing, inspiration, and rock and roll with your hosts, Deanna Lyons and yours truly, Steph Dodds. Thank you for hanging out with us today.
Welcome to the party.
Welcome to the Grateful Tap podcast. Welcome back. This is Steph Dodds and Deanna Lyons, and we are excited to welcome you to, what is this, episode 11? 11. So, last episode, Deanna got to interview me, and I got to share about one of my favorite self-care practices. And we're doing this series on self-care and what does that mean? And is it beyond the bubble bath of what we think of? And so we talked about that program I like to do once a year, 75 Hard, on a macro level. But what about those micro level practices? Not everybody has 45 minutes or an hour or a half a day to go on retreat. Or so today we're going to really get into the power of the small practices, these micro movements, if you will, that can help get us grounded and help us stay present. So Deanna, I'll just start by asking you, what do you believe we can get grounded in just a couple of minutes?
Yeah, I absolutely do. And it's actually one of the things that I have been really passionate about, both personally and professionally. Uh, and what is grounding anyway? When I first learned about grounding, uh, the recommendation of imagining a cord, dropping into the earth and feeling it, go down and wrap around a rock. And with a, beautiful imagination, those things are possible. And for some people, they can sink right into it and feel it and shift. But for others, it's a little bit more difficult because that imagination channel isn't working as well. And it's really the power of being here now. And so we can do that in really simple ways. One of my favorite practices is finding three things. And this was taught to me by one of my teachers. And it's as simple as, what can you see? What can you hear? And what can you feel? Physically touch and feel. So there's the sensation of it. And so if you take just a moment, even now, to look around the room and just find something that you see that catches your attention that's kind of pleasant. And then notice how your body responds to that. And then listen. Just noticing what you hear. For me, there's the whir of the computer. And again, noticing what happens. Oftentimes there's a settling. And then last but not least is to touch something and actually feel it, touch it, check out the texture of it. You might like it or it might feel weird or bumpy, but again, checking in. And in just that short amount of time, I'm curious, Steph, what do you notice?
Yeah, I feel like it's one thing to talk about doing these little practices, but it's another thing to do them. So I'm glad you just like kind of led us through looking around. Like I looked outside, and when you said catch your eye, I saw like the green of a little plant, and I felt my feet. I like fuzzy things, so I felt my feet on the floor when you said touch. So I feel like let me know your thoughts. Like this is a way to come back into the moment.
Exactly.
And especially the way we work with clients, like when we're in our trauma, when we're in our crap. I don't know what to say that. Maybe that's not the right word, but we're in a very real way sometimes in that memory or in that space. So coming back in just a couple of moments, like, okay, wait a minute. I'm in my office. I'm actually okay. There's not a threat right now.
That's right. Yeah. And how I discovered some of these practices, one of the things that changed my life was somebody by the name of Dina Proctor. And Dina, her claim to fame is what she calls 3 by 3 meditations. And they're 3 minute meditations, and she recommends that you do them three-minute meditations uh, at 3 times a day. So a total of 9 minutes, but spread out over the course of the day. And I only did one 3 minute meditation. I didn't do them spread out over the course of time, but I was under so much stress at that time that it made this huge difference. And it brought me back to the present moment, gave me a break from all the mental chatter and all the, responsibilities and things that I was worried about. And back then I told myself I didn't have the time to do 45 minutes like you were saying or something longer. And so I was like, but I can do 3 minutes. I can do anything for 3 minutes. And so I started listening to these meditations, and I would just go out to my car and listen for 3 minutes. And sometimes that's all I had. And in fact, just a little bit ago, I didn't have longer than 10 minutes. And so I actually put one of those on and listened for 3 minutes and then came back to my desk. So I'm still using those even many years later. And I've created a few on my YouTube channel, so you can find some there, and there'll be more coming one of these days soon. But um, these little mini micro breaks, like say, bring you back to the present moment. And then that's opened the door for the longer meditations that I now also do when I have more time. And it's it's weaving in and out of these different practices and building a toolbox and a cache for yourself of different things that you can use at different times. And so that's what's been really important. And I think, tapping also fits in so beautifully with that, as does the somatic experiencing work, and they all intertwine. There's everybody talks about their particular uh, modalities, and they're cool and they're wonderful, but there's also a lot of crossover in the way people have learned things and then molded them to use within each of those modalities. So they're all valuable, and again, finding the ones that really work well for you and incorporating them into your day-to-day practice and into your weekly practice and annual practice. It's like, we go to the dentist a couple times of the year, but we brush our teeth every day. So I think there's a range of all the different ways that we can do self-care practices, and building that little toolbox, that cache of things, is important.
I love that. And I think it's even more important to have micro ones. Like self-care is so important, right? That's what we're talking about. That's what started our podcast is us pulling a card every day and doing our lumen as a part of, even though that might take less than 3 minutes, it's profound. And then when it's simple enough to do, then suddenly we've done it for however long. And I can't remember what, maybe it was our little best year ever workshop where I shared that I had this goal of meditating for 20 minutes a day. And I had that goal for 3 years and I couldn't do it. But when I changed it to meditating for 5 minutes a day, or three, I can't remember now if it was 3 or 5 minutes, but suddenly I meditated every day that month. And it was just too big. It didn't fit. So I feel like having these bite-sized things makes it available to do self-care all the time.
Yeah. What's some of your favorites now, Steph?
Well, that's what I was going to say. We should talk about our favorites, but I wanted to show the cards that I pulled before,
Yeah.
which are again from my this Trust Your Vibes deck. I switch them all up, but this is my newest one, so I've been using her a lot. But I pulled two cards popped out, and one of them is Be Grateful, which is part of my daily practice of gratitude every day, and the other one is Pray.
Ooh.
I'm like, how cool is that? Which I kind of think these intertwine. If you focus on gratitude, that is kind of a form of prayer. But yeah, so I'll share my like. I want to ask, I'll share mine, but I want to ask you real quick. If someone listening right now wanted to start with mini micro self-cares per day, what would you be your top three you would recommend?
Well, the one that I shared earlier is three things. So just three things. And then you can bump that up to three of each of those things. And then you could go to five of each of those. You know, what can you see? What can you hear? What can you touch? What can you feel? Bonus points is what can you taste and what can you smell? So you can add those in. The other one that I really love is called finger holding. And it is something that's a Japanese uh, art form, if you will. It's Jinshin Jiu-Jitsu. It's something that it's not about, where you're doing karate chops or a lot of people they hear jujitsu and they have a misnomer. It's actually just working with different energy channels within the body, and it's as simple as wrapping your thumb, your with one hand and holding it, and over the course of time you can work through all of your fingers. And this is something you can do in a meeting, you can do when you're out to dinner with friends, you can do it just about anywhere. And this is another way to come into the present moment of feeling what's happening within your body and what's happening. You can feel the temperature of your skin. You might notice some pulsing going on one particular one. I tell people when they notice that, they double check you're not squeezing it too hard because you just want to hold the finger uh, firmly but not too tight. And then as you work through this, you can do all of your fingers, you can do a couple of them, you can do one hand, you can do both hands. It's really versatile. And then last but not least, you can put your thumb here in the center and kind of hold it. And this is actually providing like a jumper cable to all of your your energy centers and all of your energy meridians. And so it's a smoothie. It's like an energy smoothie for your nervous system, and you can do it just about anywhere, anytime. My other favorite is tapping, of course,
Mhm.
because you can do some simple forms of tapping. If doing the full series is not accessible for any reason, you can use your imagination, or you can just grab a singular point or a couple of points and tap and begin to talk. I always tell people when they're first learning to tap, they don't know what to say, and I'm telling them whatever's ruminating in your mind, if you can add a little bit of tapping. So I'm tapping on my collarbone point, and then whatever might be coming to mind that's ruminating and catching my attention and really got my goat, I can add this tapping and it helps to process it so that I'm metabolizing and moving that energy, not just in my mind, but through my body. So those are my three go-tos that I use all the time. Yeah.
I love that. And I'm glad you mentioned that finger holding, and I was definitely squeezing. So I'm glad you mentioned that little nugget for us to have. And I think that goes with the tapping too, because you can just do finger tapping. And I think I do that without realizing it. I kind of squeeze my hands sometimes, but maybe I'll just hold it. I think some of the natural tapping points that we use, like people will hold their head like this or, like, oh, if I'm stressed, I'm holding my head. And these are the natural tapping points that we would use. So maybe that is instinctual that we're touching these points in our energy centers too.
Oh, I believe so for sure. I do. Yeah. What
Okay.
are your favorites?
Well, my favorites right now, I mean, besides pulling a card every day, I have a list that I try to do, but my micro movement is dancing for 2 minutes a day. I try to do that every day, and I am amazed on how it shifts the energy. If I'm tired, if I'm angry, if I'm happy, if it doesn't matter. It is such a good one for me to do. I love it. It's like pick a song you love. It could be slow, it could be fast, but 2 minutes. And I did that because some songs are 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes. One of my favorite songs is like 8 minutes. I'm like, okay, well, I'm just gonna put a thing on it. But I love that. Okay, it's 2 minute practice.
Mhm.
Um, and then I do another one, which I forgot until we started talking about this. And when I remember, I don't do it every day, but when I remember to do it, it really grounds me, which I feel that I'm an Aquarius, I'm an air sign. Like I could just, I'm very airy. I could just float away unless I do grounding practices. And it's really simple. You put your palms up like this, and then you put your palms down. So what you're doing is like there's um, you know, the realm, right? The heavenly realm or the whatever you want to call that. The I like to call it the divine wisdom, right? And then we have Mother Earth below us, like Earth. And what's in the middle? It's us and walking around and talking and living, right? So in order to connect ourselves, take it, you breathe in and you kind of breathe in all that divine intelligence from all above, and you breathe it into your hands. And then you switch your hands over and breathe all that energy down into the earth. So you're giving that energy from above down into the earth as you exhale. Inhale all that earth energy up into your hands. And exhale, give that earth energy up to the divine. And so if for some if I'm too grounded or too airy, this kind of helps me like inhale above, exhale, inhale the earth energy into my hands, and exhale, give it up. So I'm helping all the realms.
Right.
And by being in the middle, that helps me. So that's another practice I love, love, love to do. And then not to copy you, but tapping. Tapping, it's hard not to mention that one because, and I think I learned this from you, of just simply tapping on the chest. If even if you don't know where to start, you don't know all the things, just tapping on your chest and breathing. I feel like it brings us back into our body, back into the moment. Like even if you're on a phone call, or talking to a friend, sometimes I'll just like, whoo, there's something there that needs to be processed or needs to be released or needs to be acknowledged, and just tap. If I can do all the points in the moment, great. If it's just tapping on my collarbone or tapping my finger taps, like it wasn't always that way, but now tapping is a part of my daily life, and thank goodness for that. And I feel that those do all of our practices we mentioned today do tie into the cards. Like that, I feel like our life is our expression of prayer. Our life is our expression of gratitude. It's our and what we do every day accumulates.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
So so
Yeah.
don't be afraid to start in just a couple of
Uh,
minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, you just don't need very long. And if you do a little bit, it adds up. It builds
Mhm.
momentum. Just as the stress can build a momentum, so can the relief.
Mhm.
And creating those little, I call them lily pad moments where, you just jump off and jump onto a lily pad of relief for a few minutes, for 30 seconds, for 2 minutes, for 3 minutes. That's really valuable. And it will add up over time. And the nervous system gets a little bit of a break, and then you can be off and running to go do whatever else is going on in your life. You might not have much more than that, but those little breaks, those little lily pads can be really, really helpful. So we hope you found some value in what we're talking about today. Let us know what some of your favorites are, because these are just a few. Steph and I could probably do several hours
Probably.
of both the things, because like I say, as we've done a lot of these micro practices, then we have all these other larger practices that we do as well. So there's a lot there, and simplicity goes a long ways as well.
Amen, sister. Well,
Yeah.
thank you for listening today to the Grateful Tap podcast. And yeah, comment below. Let us know what your daily practice is, micro or macro. And you never know, it might inspire us or inspire some of our other listeners when we share. So thank you. See you next
Thank
time.
you. See you next time.
Thank you so much for listening to our episode today. If you liked it or got anything out of it, please go ahead and like, subscribe, and share and help us get the word out about the Grateful Tap podcast. And if you would like to learn more and are really truly ready to start your own life-changing journey with EFT, Deanna and I are teaching and co-teaching EFT level 1 and 2. And you can check out the links below for that. We'll always keep those updated. And if you want to just follow along and see what we're up to, you can see our websites, YouTube, Instagram, things like that below. So would love to stay in touch with you. Let us know how you liked it. And also leave a comment. Believe it or not, that helps us so much. Like, what did you get about? Even if you loved it, if you have more questions, interact with us. We love it, and it really helps. It does something magical to the algorithm. It really helps us out. See you next time.